everybody. Hi. I'll sit on this very uncomfortable looking stool. Actually, it's not too bad. It's got a bit of a bounce to it. It's just me. Apparently it's just me. So, what are we going to do? Are people going to ask questions? Who's going to ask questions? Have we got are we lining up? How does that work? You're showing a paddle at me. What does that mean? 1, 2, 3. Oh, hello. Do we go 1, 2, 3? Is that how it works?
I think the reason I've been asked up here because if not, you'll be mobbed and it'll be just pandemonium. And you've got a Scottish accent; they're English. It's like a
translator. We need an American translator.
Cultural divide.
Yeah.
I'm Welsh. Why are you talking like this?
Do you do it in Welsh?
I can do it in Welsh if you like. I was born in Swansea.
But have you got any of the actual Welsh?
Well, I can say five book when go get it can robo clancy do go go.
And my book when go get it when robo clancy go go go.
That's a moment for me.
Anyway,
so let's start by taking some questions. We got question 1 over there.
Question
one, and they're going to get handed a microphone and ask away.
Hi, it's Eva again.
Hello again.
I wanted to ask you if, what you're doing in Good Omens.
You mean you want me to tell you everything that happens in Good Omens too?
Not everything.
Not everything, just most of
bit.
it. What sort of percentage amount would you like to know?
About 50-50.
50%. So the first 3 episodes. What can I tell you without getting into a lot of trouble? I'm not sure what's been revealed. I don't know what you know and what you don't know.
Well, maybe you still have red hair,
I do still have red hair.
Where?
My hair is still red, and I do have a variety of different hairstyles. Oh yeah, thank you. Throughout the episodes, my hair will transform in several different directions.
Is your son going to be in it?
And my son's in it! Yes! Has that been announced, or have I just... No. That's been announced. My son's in it, and my father-in-law's in it.
And your wife and your neighbour.
They're not in it, but it's a sore point, so don't dwell on it. Yeah, no, they're not in it. Yes, there's another story there, but I'll leave it. Number 2,
right there.
Stop me before I say something I regret.
Hello, I come from a lot of people who are very much into art. Particularly at home, there's someone who really wants to be an actress, really wants to be a musician. What are the most important things when you're kind of starting as an artist that you need to focus on?
Gary?
Okay, let me just say one thing, and I think this is kind of cool. I was reading this, that you actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but you envisioned, didn't you not, becoming Doctor Who, as a kid? And I think that that's part of it. You have to decide what you're going to do. You're going to decide, this is the life I'm going to do, you know?
I think certainly for something like acting, if there's anything else you can do, probably do that. Because it's a bit oversubscribed. There's a lot of people who want to do it. There's a lot of very good people. There's a lot of very good people who never get to do it. So it's one of those things that it's got to feel like there's really not another option for you.
Right, and you have to be prepared to live a life of uncertainty, because I think David would attest to the fact that even though he works all the time, would you agree that you really don't know what gigs are coming down the way? And even though you work all the time, so yes, he's a well-established actor, but he still lives that life, and you have to be prepared for that.
Yes, you're always worrying about the next dinner, frankly, and you never quite. But then that's part of it as well. That's part of the sort of thing you sign up for. Obviously, being an actor and being a visual artist is a very different thing, or being a ballet dancer is probably a very different thing. So it depends on which part of the arts you're interested in. But I guess it's just, if you've got to do it, yeah, you'll probably end up doing it.
And you'll know that.
Yes.
Nobody can tell you that. You'll know.
Yes.
Do we have a question over there, number 3? Yes? Yes?
What made you change your mind to return to Doctor Who as the 14th Doctor?
I didn't really change my mind. I just got asked because it was a lovely, lovely thing. It continues to be a lovely show to be part of, and when I left Doctor Who the first time, I thought I was very aware that this was a very special time coming to an end. Even though I chose to move on, it was the right time to move on and all that. But I was very aware it was a very particular, special show that has a kind of enthusiasm. It attracts a love that's not really like anything else. So I always knew that it wouldn't really be like anything else. And it's not. So then to get a chance to revisit that, not full time, just a little dance around the park again, just felt like too good to be true, really, to get to dip a toe back in the waters. But to know that you were then handing it on to somebody brilliant and a great team who were going to keep it, I wasn't even going back long enough to break it. But I was going back long enough to have a really nice, joyous time, and that's exactly what I did. So Russell T Davies was back, Catherine Tate was coming back. It would have been churlish to say no.
Churlish. And I think that's the genius of the structure of Doctor Who, the concept of it, to keep regenerating doctors and allowing other actors the chance to become Doctor Who, because it is like pretty much one of the most iconic characters to ever play. Yeah. So that's the genius of the show.
And it keeps it fresh, keeps it moving. It's just the thing when you come back to it after 15 years and you think there's a lot of running. And I was determined not to be any slower. So when I come back to it in another 15 years' time, it might be tricky.
You look like you're in good shape.
It's all in the legs.
Where's the next question?
Back to one,
right
can't
there. Back to question. We only have 3 placards.
Hi. I have a question about acting techniques. When you're on stage or on camera, does it ever happen to you when you become self-conscious and self-aware to yourself? Or can you manage to stay completely submerged into the moment and into the scene? And if you are become self-aware, how do you feel it's affecting you? And do you have any advice to snap back into the moment and really be in the scene and in the character? Thank you.
Thank you. Good question, to which I have no decent answer. I very much. It's often a battle between keeping yourself in the kind of moment, especially on stage, especially if you're doing a long run of a play. I think particularly that can be difficult because sort of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks in, your brain can play little gremlin tricks on you and can start telling you that, you remembered it last night, but tonight you are going off the rails and it's all going to fall apart and you're going to have to explain to the audience that your career is over and you're going to have to go and assume the fetal position backstage for a while. It's a lot of it's to do with using a little bit of the anxiety as a sort of engine and containing the rest of it and trying to channel it into a positive rather than a negative energy. But it's not easy all the time. But that's part of the job. That's, it's a job we're very fortunate to have. So if, that's just part of what you have to wrestle with, I suppose.
And in theatre, you can't do take 2.
No, you know exactly.
It's like take 1 and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you get to do it the next night, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be that the night where there's however many 100 people it is going, I was there the night you really lost it.
And I think it's because it's take 1 in theatre. You kind of, your brain sort of knows that you have to be in the moment.
Yes.
If you're doing TV, you know that there's other takes. You want to try it differently.
Yeah.
So
they've also introduced this thing in theatre now, what we call the live link-up, where one of your shows will be beamed around the world and there'll be people watching it live or nearly live in cinemas at various points. And that particularly, because not only do you have to worry about the 400 people that are in the theatre that night, you're also worried about the recorded version. The fact that the line you're speaking now will be seen in Canada, sort of 8 hours later on a time delay. So that's an extra layer of anxiety I could do without.
Question 2, right here. Thank you for that.
Hi, so firstly I'd like to say thank you, because as a Crowley myself, having you play A. Crowley in Good Omens has done a lot to repair the name reputation after all the scorn from Supernatural. So thank you. But my actual question is a bit of a two-part question. What would you say was the proudest performance you gave as an actor through your myriad of different roles? And then also, what would you say was the funnest role that you've ever had to do?
These questions are quite difficult. I don't know. Proudest is probably something that felt very difficult, or that took a bit of a sort of battle with yourself. And I suppose that would probably be something like the kind of theatre experiences we're talking about, that sort of, where it feels like you have to kind of battle against all your inner demons to get there. So you maybe, while you're doing it, it might not be something that you're particularly having a good time, but you look back on...
Like your work on Good.
Very proud. Like the play I've just done, which is called Good, which was very like that. It was a very intense experience. It was just 3 of us. We were sort of locked on stage every night. And it was about some very... it was about a very dark moment in history. It was very intensive. It was very... it was about Germany in the 30s. It was about people sort of wrestling with their sense of what it is to be responsible for each other. It was tough, and we all found, the 3 of us who were in it, found it quite stressful to do. I'm very, very glad we did it, but at the time it was a lot. So maybe that's probably, I suppose, when you sort of get through something and you look back on it, that's probably when you feel proudest. Funnest? Don't know. I'm doing a show called Rivals at the moment. We're having a lot of fun doing that. There's a lot of very fun people. So I tend to be quite. The thing I'm doing at the moment, I tend to be, I'm quite fickle. So I tend to be quite pleased with wherever I am in the moment. So I'm quite nice time at the moment.
Would it be fun to play a character like Broadchurch where you come across as mostly pissed off? You know, the character is like aggrieved and pissed off. So is it fun to play that?
That's the real me. That was the easiest part I've ever played. No, the fun usually comes from the people you're working with, to be honest, because there's the work, which is a certain type of. You certainly can feel very. There's a sense of achievement from that, but the fun tends to come from the group of people. Broadchurch had a
Broadchurch! Yes!
So we did it. I do look back on that one very fondly.
Right. Great, thank you for that question. We're
back at 3? Are we back at 3?
I think we're back at 3. Where's 3? Where's 3? I feel like I'm in a silent auction here. Okay, number 3, way over there. Okay, thank you.
This is a really trivial question after all.
Excellent.
But will you take my Be Real for me, if you're allowed to?
Will I do what?
Be Real, have you heard of it before?
I don't know what any of these words mean. Can anyone help me out?
So it's a thing where every day you get a notification to take a picture for a memory of that day. And I wanted to know if you were allowed to take my one for me as the memory.
I mean, as long as you're the only person that asks for it. This can't now become a thing. Come on up, come on.
Joder, qué majo.
I don't know what this means. Do you know what this means? This could be some terrible...
I have no idea, but I think now some of the people are going, oh, why don't I even ask him about acting? Should have just
come right here. Come on. Oh, how'd you get up? They were definitely not meant to do this, by the way.
This is so out of the wheelhouse. So out of the wheelhouse.
No, you're not allowed. I'm just making it up. Because everyone needs to be in it, right? We need like the whole group, the whole... Oh... And this is legal. This isn't some kind of Russian, terrible, awful, it's going to suck. Well, it's your phone, it's not mine. Good luck to you. Yeah, go on. So we're facing one way, and then everybody else has to sort of... Okay. Everyone wave! Did it work? What happens now? Oh, that's quite cool. Oh, that is quite... You can't see this, but it's really cool. There's stairs that way. Thank you. Well done. Well done.
I would actually suggest that's how you get into acting, by taking big risks. Living a life of uncertainty and not caring whether you get thrown out of the venue.
I'm just really pleased I know about something called Be Real. I will go back and tell my children, and I won't be quite so old anymore.
Okay, question number...
Back to one.
Back to one, yes, back to ones.
Hello. Hey, David. So, first of all, I want to say you're my favourite.
Where are you?
Over here.
Oh, there you are.
Stand up.
Oh, stand up. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
so
my
you're my favourite.
Stand up. Why? That's how I should stand up.
So I've got a really
I'm going to
random...
stand up.
I've got a really random question for you.
Okay.
So...
Does it involve an app?
It doesn't.
No, good. Okay, good.
So, one thing I obviously still really like is that you played Barty Crouch Jr. in Goblet of Fire.
Thank you.
May not have noticed that the first time I watched it, but when I found out, I was like, oh my god, it's David Tennant. But one thing I was curious about, because the book diverses from the films a little bit, I was always curious, were you ever approached to be in Deathly Hallows, like in the last films at all? I just always wondered that.
Barty Crouch Jr. doesn't show up in the book, does he?
He does, but...
In the
like,
final
Yes!
one,
No.
though? No.
But, yeah, that's why I was curious, because they don't show what happens to him at the end
I see.
in the film, so I thought, yeah.
Unfortunately, the answer is a very boring no. I really couldn't have cared less about it. I never heard from them again. They never told, they never wrote, nothing.
I just always wanted to satisfy that curiosity.
I know, isn't it awful? Wouldn't it have been a much better film if I'd shown up in it?
Of course!
Yes!
I mean, you missed the trick.
Could I also possibly ask a hello for my friend Michael?
Hello, Michael. Are you friends with Michael Sheen? He's always trying to get me to say hello to him. It's pathetic.
Question,
Leave it alone.
Question 2 right here. Question 2.
Hello.
There we go.
When you're doing gridlock,
Yeah.
how long did it take yourself to take yourself away from the kittens?
I wasn't that fussed. So, no, I was. I'm not generally that into cats. Is that terrible? Is that all right? Let's not divide the room. Come on, people. But those kittens were really cute, weren't they?
Yes!
So yeah, I did quite like that kitten. There was a little bunch of them in a little basket. It was quite sweet. But so yeah, they were. I was reluctantly rather won over by those kittens. It has to be said. But I can be a bit allergic to the old cat. So yeah. So but yeah, they were quite cute. So yeah, I'll give you that.
Can I take a moment, David, to point out somebody who I think on stage with us is having kittens right now, which is Anna, who's signing for us.
Oh, Anna, yes,
I would consider this to be a highlight of Anna's signing career, to be signing for you.
Well, can I tell you, I'll tell you a story about a signer, an on-stage signer. The reason I can say Clan vai por queen che quere con iko get con double quantas we go. That's not a real sign. What are you actually signing?
It's going on.
The reason I know how to do that is because I was in a play once called The Comedy of Errors, Shakespeare play, and we knew that the signing performance was coming up. You often have one, and there's a little bit, I don't know if you know The Comedy of Errors, there's a little sort of vaudeville routine between Antipholus and Dromio where they kind of go through this, they go round the world. There's this woman that they're describing and they go round the world and say her thighs are like Italy and her head is like this. And we put a bit in that night. Just to mess with the signer. All right, chill out, man. And so we were going through this whole thing in the sign, and it went quite fast that bit. And then we went, where clan vai por queen giko geli con dogo clancy city go oh. we stopped and looked round and got much the same response we got from Anna today, to be honest with you. Slight withering derision. Withering derision. It's just like... I can do that.
Signing with attitude. Where's the next question? I'm looking for the number. Where's back there, number 3. Number 3. There we go.
How did you feel when you were asked to go back on Doctor Who?
Well, like I said earlier, sort of really pleased. It was just what a fun little treat to get back and have another little go, doing something a little bit worried about the running. No, I wasn't. I would like to point out that's not true. That's not a headline for the Radio Times website. No, just really chuffed to be back with my mates, with Catherine and Russell and Phil Collinson and Julie Gardner. It's sort of like we'd never been away. It was like 15 years hadn't really happened. It was a real treat. And I think, hopefully, you'll feel the same when you see it.
Question?
Number 1, down here, look.
Number 1, here we go.
Hi.
Hi, afternoon, Dr. Gorgeous.
Please address your question to David.
You're dressed as Agnes Nutter, aren't you? Yes. Good Omens fans.
We've seen you quite a bit over various things that we've been and seen and watched and seen on TV. You're doing a lot of singing and dancing, David, are we?
What?
Is there an album in the pipeline or anything? I mean, you know,
I did do a song for an album. We did for Children in Need a few years ago. We did.
You've been singing and dancing on Good Omens. You were singing and dancing in Good. Well, I mean, you really shouldn't have been singing and dancing in Good, but you were.
Rude.
No, you were. Sorry, I love you so much. But it was awful, it really was.
You go right back and then you dive straight back in again, don't you?
So anyway, is there an album in the pipeline?
Well, not now. I was about to announce it right on stage, but now I take it all back. I don't know why I bother. Come to Basingstoke, they said. Everyone's lovely.
Number 2, question number 2.
Hi David, I'm Megan.
Hello, Megan.
Going away from Good Omens, Doctor
Okay,
Who, I want
okay.
to talk about Jessica Jones.
Let's do that.
So, when you got a call from Marvel to say that you are playing Kilgrave, how did that feel?
Well, at first I thought I was going to have to paint myself purple. So I wasn't sure how I felt about that. But I was really excited. I've been a Marvel Comics fan, like, forever, like my entire life. So to be working for the company and being one of their characters created by Stan Lee was all very exciting. I was thrilled. I was delighted. And weirdly, they asked me on New Year's Eve. Who knew that anyone worked on New Year's Eve? But I remember it very vividly. I got a phone call. I was out for dinner with my wife, and we got a phone call. Because in America, you know, they were a bit behind in, not like, not cognitively. It was a wibbly wobbly timey-wimey thing. So yeah, it was brilliant, and then I got a little bit giddy, and I went to the first day, which was a read-through, wearing my Iron Man socks. Which I then proceeded to take my shoes off and show Jeff Loeb and Kristen Ritter. I think Jeff Loeb was quite pleased. I think Kristen was a bit worried. Yeah, we had a great time. It's a show I'm just very proud to be part of. I think it was a brilliant bit of writing and really well put together. So yeah, very chuffed, very chuffed.
Next question over there, number 3.
Hello David. Hello. Hi there. Thank you for coming today. I really appreciate the chance to meet you. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of the Doctor, but I'm also a really big fan of Pissy Doctor when he's really sort of no second chances on that kind of guy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Pissy Doctor or Time Lord Victorious. I mean, we can call it either. We can call it either thing.
on to, the Time Lord Victorious,
Okay.
that was just amazing. Did you want to take that further? And if you did, what would you have done?
I never, with Doctor Who, and really, I always think it's not really up to the actor to decide which way a character goes, because you're sort of always there to serve the writing, and that's true of whatever you do, really, whether it's Doctor Who or a 400-year-old play or a soap opera. Your job is to kind of say, I think it should be very rare that you say my character wouldn't do that, because if it's written down, that's what your character does. So then it's up to you to kind of make sense of what that is. And certainly on something like Doctor Who, the last thing I would do is kind of go, I want to take this, Russell. I know you've written some stuff, but listen, let me tell you how to do it. It's never really occurred to me to do it that way. I enjoy getting the scripts and sort of being told that this is where the story's going to go and this is what the character's going to do, and then it's enjoying kind of going on that journey and telling that story, being part of telling the story that's been written. I mean, it's why the ludicrous we've got going on in America at the moment. We've got this writer strike going on. The idea that anyone should query the importance of the writer, and that without the script writer, there is literally nothing for the rest of us to do. And there's certainly nothing, there's no millions to be made by the streaming services and the networks without the stories. And that comes from the person sitting down with a blank computer screen. So without them, none of this. Comic Cons don't happen, you know. So it's that's where it starts.
Right there, number one, over there.
There you go, sir.
Hi, David.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Matt. Another question about Jessica Jones. First of all, I love Jessica Griff. You are amazing.
Thank you.
And one of the questions I have for you, were you like one of the actors, because a lot of actors work for Marvel, did you also read some of the comics to prepare yourself for the role? And also, one more request. Could you say hello to my girlfriend, Stacey? She's here with me.
Oh, where is Stacey?
She's down here.
Stacey, you couldn't ask a question yourself? You had to get your boyfriend to do it for you? Hello, Stacey, how are you? Not saying it, Stacey's saying nothing.
Now Stacey's looking away.
Stacey, has he embarrassed you, Stacey?
I have.
Very good. Let's all embarrass Stacey, everyone. Let's all Stacey. Stacey. Stacey, you're very welcome. We're very glad you're here, Stacey. Round of applause for Stacey. What was the question? Did I read Marvel comics? I read Marvel comics all my life. I love Marvel comics, and I particularly the Alias comics that came from, which is brilliantly written, by the way, and was glorious. And then, of course, looking back on Kilgrave or the Purple Man, the sort of his whole origin, but really that it came from the Alias comic book, Brian Michael Bendis comic book, which is, if you haven't read it, you really should. It's great. So yes. I would encourage everyone to go and have a look at that. Yes, very much.
Okay, next, back there, number 2, way back there. Okay.
Hi, David. This is a question about Doctor Who. Did you ever have any sort of unscripted moments on the set? Or like any sort of bloopers that were kept in because they were good?
Very few, actually, because it's very much everyone works towards the script. It's so brilliantly written that it's there wasn't a lot of space for sort of messing around. We would you would just try and get the script as it was written and do the best version of that you could. I mean, obviously things would go wrong now and again, but then things tended to go wrong, so you wouldn't put them in the show on the whole. I can't think of anything that ever stayed in. I mean, little things would occur to you in the moment, but they would always be in the service of the story. So there wasn't anything that sort of happened accidentally, I don't think, that ever remained in. I mean, I'll now go away from this and remember 18 things that I forgot. But I can't think of anything. No, I think it was always pretty... There was a lot of there was a lot of fun and a lot of creativity, but everyone was always working towards getting the very best version of those scripts.
But again, that actually does speak to the writing.
It does, yeah.
It speaks to the quality of the writing.
Yeah.
It's like, why mess around, or why change a word, or this is fantastic as it is.
I agree, yeah. So, yeah, no, I mean, sort of not really, but I see that very much as a positive, I think.
Next question, where are you? Number 3, right there, right in the middle. You can stand up or just talk into the mic. Thank you.
I know that you grew up with Doctor Who.
I did.
So I was wondering what it's like to know that other people grew up with you as Doctor Who.
Oh, what a lovely question.
It is a lovely question, and it actually means quite a lot. There are times when I get a little bit emotional about it because it meant so much to me as a kid. It really was the show that I loved, and it really kind of opened my brain. There's something about that particular notion, the idea of Doctor Who. It's so fantastical and so real at the same time. It's so relatable, and yet it's like nothing else on earth. And I know how much it meant to me, that when I meet people who've grown up watching me in it, that I've been connected to that kind of a sort of experience for them.
Isn't that sort of a time-lordy time?
It is very much
weird time-space continuum.
It's very wibbly-wobbly time, isn't it? I know, and it's such a rare thing. It's such a rare thing that any show lasts in any form for 60 years. But to have sort of grown up with it and now helped other people grow up with it, or been part of other people growing up with it, increasingly now, because I'm really old, I keep meeting people who go, "Oh, I grew up with you," and they're like 6 foot tall and they've got 3 kids, and I think, hang on, whoa, that can't be possible. But in fact, going back to Doctor Who recently, there were so many of the more junior crew members, but not always that junior, who'd said, there was a couple of them who said, "Oh, I met you on the streets of Cardiff as a kid. We all came and I got your autograph one day," and now they're sort of running the show. So it means an awful lot, and I'm thrilled for people who've enjoyed the show as much as I loved it, thrilled for Doctor Who that it still exists, and thrilled for my 8-year-old self, who would be very pleased. Number 1, over there. Question number 1.
So you've worked on a wide range of projects, and a good chunk of those have been book adaptations and literature adaptations. What I wanted to know is there any piece of literature close to your heart that you would love to, see on TV and be involved in that project, and how you would fit into that?
Oh, that's a very good question, isn't it? I don't know. I mean,
the Bible.
I think that's been done. I mean, there's lots of things that one reads and that connects with you. That doesn't necessarily mean you'd be right for it, I suppose. And the last thing you want to do is force yourself into particularly a very beloved text if you're not absolutely a perfect fit. So it's probably for others to judge. I don't know. I don't have any particularly burning ones that I know I'd be right for.
Even if you weren't involved in it, what is something that hasn't been done that you think really should be?
I'd like to see some of the J.D. Salinger stuff done something with that, but I don't think that will ever be allowed, and I don't know that it would necessarily work. But I suppose the books of his that exist, and the ones that may be locked in some mythical vault that we might never see, I'm quite intrigued by. But I don't know, is Catcher in the Rye something you could ever make a film of? I'm not sure. It's so about the sort of personal experience of reading it, isn't it?
And it was of a time.
And it was of a time, yeah. So I don't know. And those moments when something connects with you is of a time in your life, isn't it? So I can't think of anything that I feel I've got to sort of bring to the screen, but maybe.
Number 2, way back there.
Hi David.
Hello.
What was your favourite episode of Doctor Who?
What was your favourite?
Journey's End.
Journey's End is an excellent choice, and that's certainly one of the ones I look back on most fondly as a filming experience, because all your mates were there, because everyone who'd been in the show, you know, we had the return of all these characters, and we all got to hang out together, which was lovely. So that was one that I had a wonderful time making. Probably the most significant episode was probably the Doctor's daughter, because it led to a fairly significant life change for me. Not that I necessarily knew that at the time we were shooting it, but so, you know, but every one of them has definitely meant something. And one of the great things about a show like Doctor Who is that every episode is so different. They all have very vivid memories. Unlike some TV shows where you're sort of, it's the police precinct and it's the bar, or it's the, you know, the sort of recurring kind of motifs. Doctor Who's very different every single time it comes out of the box. So I remember them all very fondly and very happy.
Okay, great. That's number 3. But before we ask the question, just a reminder that there's a whole section down here that you can walk down to that we haven't gotten questions from. So yes, just to kind of include everybody, right? Give them a chance. Okay, number 3.
Hello, David. My
Hello.
name is Lisa. Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
So first of all, I just wanted to say you're not that old, because we share exactly the same birthday, the same day, the same month, and the same year.
Really? You're 35 as well?
So my question to you is there any possibility at all that we could be twins separated at birth?
Which city were you born in?
London.
It's not looking great.
It was worth a shot though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was worth a shot. I mean, you never know. There could be some Good Omen style baby switch going on that we don't know about. But, I mean, short of a DNA test, I think probably we have to assume it's a no, I'm afraid.
Thanks anyway.
But it would be lovely if we were.
Thank you. And happy birthday for the recent birthday.
Oh, thanks. What were you? 35, exactly.
Okay, great.
I'm annoyed that when I said 35, they all laughed. Because, frankly, rude.
Okay, question down here. Yes, number 1.
Hello.
Hello.
Excuse my voice, I'm losing it.
It sounds great.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, one, if you could do a shout out to my mum. She was supposed to be here today, but she recently got diagnosed with a brain tumour.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, lots of love to your mum. We all send her lots of love.
Thank you. The other question I wanted to say is about Doctor Who. If you could have any companion, dead or alive, to come back, 2 of them, who would you choose?
Don't make me choose.
I'm going to make you choose, David.
Listen, I've worked with some brilliant people on Doctor Who, and only to exploit your answer, I would have back maybe the 2 that are no longer with us. I'd love to see Bernard and Elizabeth Sladen again. That's not to pick a favourite, just because, you know, if I get to bring people back, then let's have longer with both of them, I think. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, thank you. Hello.
Hi, you okay?
Hi.
So, obviously, you've had some great storylines in Doctor Who, but if you could play the storyline of any other Doctor, what would it be?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it?
Another Doctor, different Doctor.
The first story that I have really, really vivid memories of was Genesis of the Daleks. I was tiny, but I still have, and it was repeated a bit. This is in the days before DVDs and streaming services, young people. And if you missed it, it was gone forever, and you didn't get to see it again. So those early episodes had a particularly, you were kind of clinging on to them because you couldn't watch them back. There were no video recorders. But that's the one that I remember really vividly with just the Daleks as this sort of almost mythical creatures going back to the beginnings of their story. And it was a great bit of writing and really well told. So probably because, again, it would please my 8-year-old self, I'd probably say that one.
Great. Okay.
Hi there, just in the audience here. Hi there, David, lovely to meet you again. So, playing Doctor Who, who was your favourite companion to work with and why? Who was your favourite? So my one was...
Rose.
Thank you.
Yes. Imagine if I chose a favourite. I mean, can you imagine the trouble I would get into? It would be more than my life's worth. And I don't need to, because I was very, very blessed with Billy Piper, with Freema Agyeman, with Catherine Tate, and with Liz Sladen and Bernard Cribbins. And I mean, we had such a great the core cast and the sort of the returning cast, and I couldn't have been more blessed, really. So I would never dare to choose a favourite. K9. You're just saying that because you're in your slippers. I mean, K9 is great. But no, I genuinely wouldn't dare to choose a favourite.
Okay, just so you know, we have about 4 minutes left to talk to David. So try not to let your question take up half of that 4 minutes. Real quick. Number one over there. Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
You're in two of my favourite franchises.
Okay.
One is Doctor Who.
Yes.
And the other one, obviously, is Star Wars.
Right.
And me and my son, who is here dressed as a Jedi.
Yes, very good.
We just wondered whether you were Huang and are going to be Professor Huang in Ahsoka.
What am I meant to say? Does anyone, do I have a press agent?
Yeah, we know.
I think it's been announced.
We did hear you at the end of the trailer, we think.
Yes.
But we weren't sure. And could you possibly, as Professor Huang, inspect my lightsaber?
Whoa! Wait a minute!
It sounds like a euphemism, doesn't it? I obviously can't extemporise in character for a million-year-old Jedi droid, but it looks red and shiny from here. It looks very nice. It does look like quite a posh one, that one.
Oh, it is.
It's making some very good noises.
Great, quick, we got a quick last question.
We're going to get
One
to
more
it. But
question.
I think as my and yes, I'm very pleased to say that I'm very pleased to say I am, yeah.
Young lad.
If you had your time on Doctor Who again, what would you change?
I just did have my time on Doctor Who again. I didn't have to change anything. They asked me back. What would I change? I don't think I would change anything. I had such a great time both times. So it was and continues to be one of the... I mean, Doctor Who's quite big in our house. There's lots of connections. I grew up with it. My wife grew up with it in a very different way. There's lots of connections, and it's clearly something that will be with me forever, and I'm very, very pleased.
This is going to be the iconic last question.
No pressure.
Yes, no pressure.
I know, this is really scary.
Last question.
I know. What? Is this going to be any good?
I accidentally punched a wasp the other day. Can you say hi to Tom for me?
Tom, who punched a wasp.
Yeah, I know, really, really stupid.
Accident? Did you get stung?
No.
So is it like it?
The window stung me. Not the window that the wasp was on stung me. But not the wasp itself.
I feel this story's not going anywhere.
It's not. I would love to say it is, but
Okay, but that's it.
No.
Okay, is this the last question?
This is.
Right.
What's your favourite moment from Good Omens Season 2?
Oh, that's what I'll do. I'll tell you what's happening. This is where we came in, isn't it? It's like a full circle. It's very neatly done. It's like a full circle. What is my favourite moment from Good Omens Season 2? I'll tell you what it is. It's a line said by a small child, and it's in episode 2, about halfway through, and it's in a scene with my son. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Put your hands together for David Tennant. We're going to do a photograph. Are you ready? Yeah! You've all brushed your hair. This is it. All right. Are you ready?
David Tennant, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a fantastic weekend. We'll be here next year, April 19, 2021. So get your tickets, come back. I've loved every moment. The guests have been fantastic. You've been fantastic. I'm Gary Jones. Have a great weekend. Thank you.